I'm sure many of you are aware of the crisis facing the newspaper sector in India and abroad. So why am I putting out this video this week? Well, the Times of India has sacked 20 more staff in Kerala this month. That's India's largest publishing house, cutting its base in a state which is considered one of the most fertile grounds for the newspaper industry. If you are a newspaper lover, this is heartbreaking. Newspapers are going. I can't get myself to utter that last word after 37 years and continuing in the print media. The bloodshed is not just in the Times of India, but across the board. In Hindustan Times, in Indian Express, Business Standard, Outlook, Deccan Chronicle, you name it. Some newspaper agents remain optimistic.
കോവിഡ് സമയമുണ്ട് ആൾക്കാർ വെളിയിറങ്ങാത്തതുകൊണ്ട് പത്രങ്ങൾ സെയിൽസ് കുറവാണ്. പക്ഷേ ഒരു 2 വർഷത്തിനകത്ത് ഇത് മാറി വരും. വായന ഒരിക്കലും നിലയ്ക്കൂലല്ലോ.
യുവാക്കൾ പത്രം വായിക്കുന്നില്ല എന്നൊരു പരാതിയുണ്ടല്ലോ.
പുതിയ തലമുറകൾ വായന കുറവാണ്. പഴയ ആൾക്കാർ ഇന്നും പത്രം വായിക്കണമെന്നേ ഉള്ളൂ. പുതിയ തലമുറകളെല്ലാം മൊബൈൽ വഴിയൊക്കെയാണ്. നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ രാവിലെ വീക്കിലി എടുത്ത് കൈ കൊടുക്കുമ്പോൾ അവർ പറയുന്നത് ഞാൻ ഇന്നലെ രാത്രി 12 മണിക്ക് വായിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞു.
My theme this week is not an analysis of the reasons for the cause of newspapers' decline, but the pathetic manner in which newspapers are headed in their sunset years. They are prostrating before advertisers, suppressing information that may hurt some of their benefactors, and even failing to check basic facts. Consider a few recent examples. At the recent India-Australia One-Day International at the Sydney Cricket Ground, 2 protesters ran onto the ground with placards carrying slogans against the State Bank of India lending $1 billion to the Adani Group for a coal project in Queensland. Now, this was part of larger protests happening in Australia against that project. The large majority of Indian media simply pretended that they were not seeing the protesters and were only watching cricket at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Obviously, they couldn't afford to offend either the Adani Group or the State Bank of India, both major advertisers. To me, it appeared that the hearts and souls of Indian media were being scooped out like coal in Queensland. Of course, the merits of that coal project is a different matter, but if newspapers want to favor advertisers so much that they choose to suppress information, their already diminishing pool of readers will also desert them. What is this leading to? Corporates are convinced that newspapers will accommodate any demand because they're desperate for money. So they're making increasing demands and getting them done as well. Now cut to the first week of this month when the Muthoot Group chairman M.G. George Muthoot died after falling from the 4th floor of his house in Delhi. Now, how did Indian media cover that? No foul play, say Delhi police. Any reader would wonder what that means. A 72-year-old just falling off the 4th floor? And particularly when the Delhi police themselves say that there were 5-foot railings on the terrace. I spoke to the civil engineer who was involved in the construction of that building. This civil engineer, who is an IIT gold medalist, who is now in his 80s, confirmed that there were railings on the terrace. Certainly no man in his senses, certainly not the head of a corporate, will have a terrace without railings. But India's media just decided to leave it at that. Don't forget that this is a company with more than 5,400 branches, 25,000 plus staff, more than 558 billion in loan assets, and serves 200,000 people on a daily basis. Don't all those stakeholders want to know what happened to this man who was also the 26th richest in the Forbes Asia magazine 2020 list? Who will tell them? Don't expect India's media to do that. Now cut to this week when a 12-year-old boy in a little village called Venganur in the outskirts of Thiruvananthapuram, the Kerala capital, died in a burn incident. Local media reported that this boy had gone into the bathroom with some kerosene and a lit matchstick, trying to straighten his hair with fire. That story immediately flew across the internet and it was in all sorts of media. When I saw 3 large cans of kerosene in a visual accompanying that news story, I immediately grew suspicious. When you go to straighten your hair with kerosene and fire, if at all you do that, you probably need a teaspoonful of kerosene, not 3 large cans. So I decided to speak to local police officials where the incident happened. And a sub-inspector of police told me that the boy had given a dying declaration in which his statement was in total variance with what was reported in the media. But by then, the hair straightening story had been around the world on the internet. The local media had swallowed it, and so had readers around the world. At the time that this video is being released, the official report of the boy's declaration is not out, and therefore I'm not revealing what the boy said. News media operation involves two core jobs of gathering news and verifying them before publishing. Financial crisis has meant that a large number of reporters who gathered news and a large number of sub-editors who checked them have been axed, and that has sacrificed credibility to a large extent. So it shouldn't surprise you that the Times of India has sacked 20 more staff from Kerala this month, and my dear Economic Times, where I worked nearly 2 decades, has decided to end its Sunday edition. Other newspapers in India are doing pretty much the same. In the glory days of newspapers, Rupert Murdoch once commented that his stable of newspapers were rivers of gold. Of course, he later admitted that sometimes rivers do dry up. India's newspapers are at a juncture in their lives where they'll wonder who will cry when we die. If they can use these days to reclaim their credibility, certainly many eyes will turn moist. A coincidence that 2021 marks the 400th anniversary of the birth of English journalism. Here is a news item that the Hindu carried in 1921 on the 300th anniversary. Over 4 centuries, journalists in English and other languages have contributed much to humankind. Newspapers and journalists had a fabulous run for some 375 years before the internet redefined both journals and journalism. On this 400th anniversary, there are no celebrations. Just a request to the last person leaving the newspaper newsroom to please turn off the lights. Thank you.